Yeah.
Hello. Ha-
Hello. What is up?
Happy Sunday. How are you doing?
I'm fan freaking tastic. Happy
Okay.
Sunday. It was a
How's it?
rainy ass Sunday here in Georgia.
I didn't even notice. I didn't look not once out my window to know that it was raining.
No, see over here, you heard it. Like it was like raining like all in the wee hours of the night. Like pretty much all day today
Yeah.
and through the night. It's been raining and
Mm.
I just was like, I'm kind of glad I did whatever I was gonna go do yesterday and I didn't be like, oh, I could go on Sunday, but it's like I checked the weather. I was like, look, I'm making sure that, I'm outside, when I gotta handle biz that, I kind of want to just go out there when the weather's not raining and stuff. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just weekend's were pretty cool. I was just chilling, watched a little bit of The Simpsons on Hulu and watched a little bit of Rick and Morty. I don't know.
Are you watching
That's
my
the
Rick
first
and
time.
Morty? Oh.
Yeah, but they was playing. They was playing some song that I remember back probably like in the 90s, 2000s, one of them down south, shake your, booty songs and stuff. I don't
Okay.
remember, but then I was like, I don't like I have an issue with this. And I guess the reason why I have an issue with it is because, I know how they be treating the artists, be taking their royalties and, having ownership of their masters, and then the record companies be making money off their stuff by selling it. That's how I was looking at it. I wasn't
Oh, okay. Because
the
I was about
entertainment
to
is
say that's not
cool.
Rick and Morty's fault. Don't blame Rick and Morty for
I
how the industry be
know,
treating
I
them.
know, I know, but it's just that, I got that and turned into like Umar Johnson for a moment. Just kidding. Oh man. Oh, that was something. Hey, that was my weekend or whatever. That and
Mhm.
watching BMF, of course, and New York Undercover.
Okay. I just watched the first episode of Last of Us, and I'm like, oh my god, this is exactly like the video game. I don't know if you ever played the video game. I never played it either. I was always a bystander watching, but it's so similar to the game so far. And I'm just like, I was just waiting for that one part to happen with the daughter, and it happened, and I cried just like I did watching the game. So, anyways. I ain't gonna
Oh.
spoil that. I ain't gonna spoil that part. If you didn't see the first episode of Last of Us, go ahead and watch it. And if you played the game, you already know what I'm talking about. Yes.
Nah, I didn't watch it. But man, let's get into this. So
Mm-hmm.
it is episode 14 of Wine Fine Podcast. To need a man or to not need a man. But
That
first,
is the question.
that is the question. But before we get into that subject matter, Azima, where can everyone find you?
Oh, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram as Azima the Only. That's Azima. And you can find me on YouTube and Facebook as OZD Wellness and Fitness. That's OZIDI Wellness and Fitness. And where can we find you, Jovani?
Yes, so all platforms, TikTok, IG, Facebook, YouTube at Camp Jogo Fit. That is KAMPJOGOFIT. So man, the subject today, got a lot of men on the internet, talking about, but then there's a lot of women too that will be like, oh, I don't need a man, this and that. And so I actually came across a video and I was like, oh, this is, pretty, this Philip Scott show guy. He has some good subject matters and everything. So, so there's a lot of women online talk about that they independent. Me personally, just looking at things, and that's not a really good title to like hold on to. It's not a flex to me, like saying that, oh, I'm a strong, independent woman.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we were raised that way. What do you think?
I honestly don't. I'm thinking back on what my mom said. Azima, stop trying to act like you can do everything.
Ah, see, you were blessed.
She,
See, you were
yes.
blessed there. So,
My mother, when my father did anything, she barely helped. And
mm,
because he can take, if you could help, he would use you the whole day. The whole day. Just do this, do that, do this. So
do it.
she couldn't lift a finger, she couldn't do that. She just went to the kitchen and handled her business. But me, because I always wanted to help my dad, he taught me how to build a computer, what to do on the side of the road, blah blah, this and that. So he and basically told me, you got to take care of yourself. You can't always rely on people to take care of you. He wasn't specific, but
At least he
he
said
always said
people.
yes, but he wasn't specific. And for being a Nigerian girl, you think that he would have been made it very adamant that I learn how to cook, but he never once sat me in front of a stove and said, "Hey, learn how to cook, fufu or anything like that." So
Because I guess he figured, more than likely you will be with, somebody who was born here,
uh-huh.
so
Maybe it
yeah.
wouldn't be important. I guess that's what he concluded. But he never answered any questions, so I never understood why he did any of the things he did. So nor did he teach me, Yoruba or Igbo or any of the languages. So all I can say is, you know, that's just the way I grew up,
Hmm.
doing the complete opposite, playing video games instead of doing stuff, and you know, fixing and repairing computers and coding. Those are the things he taught me, and therefore I don't know how to do the normal stuff I figured most women would do. That's
Yeah.
it. Like whatever normal women do, I don't remember doing it that much.
Yeah, so let's see
Yeah,
what normal women would do, like probably around that time he was teaching her to do all that stuff. So I mean, I
shit.
guess maybe going out with friends and stuff,
I wasn't allowed to go out with friends.
going like to the
Nope,
mall, movies, with
nope,
friends. So
nope. So I remember one time he bought me a skirt. It was those skirts,
what's it
and it was
cool
mixed with
though?
shorts. Yeah,
Yes.
well, he bought it for me. And then I guess I started high school and I wore it, and he said, "You look like a prostitute in that." And I was like, "Oh my
But
God, I'm
you
never wearing
what?
a skirt again." I never wore a skirt
Yeah.
again. To this day, I will not wear a short skirt. I wear long skirts because I was like, I don't want to look like a prostitute, even though I know that's not what a prostitute looks like. It's just how I felt as a child, and therefore I don't want to feel that way, so I don't wear short skirts.
Well, yeah, a prostitute can look like anything from a boardroom to a freaking hole in the wall club.
Exactly, exactly.
It's different levels, different. So I mean, you could have
Mhm,
somebody in a corporate suit. Let's just
mhm.
define what prostitution is. You're exchanging sex for money, and
And that's
that could.
it.
It just depends on what your price is. So that could be
Mhm.
all walks of life. So,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So
but
I have
man,
short skirts. It's just very rarely that I wear it. I have to look really good in it.
let me see.
Anyways,
I got too
it's
many.
yeah. Parents, they fuck you up.
Yeah,
They fuck you
yeah,
up. They
yeah.
say the craziest shit, and then you live your life through the words they say, and then you think back and say, was that even valid? Was that worth shrinking myself? You know, you know. Maybe I do need a man.
But
You gotta ask
hey,
yourself those questions.
absolutely. So let
Anyway.
me what I'll do is pay about like this video is like 14 minutes long, but I'm definitely not going to get into all of everything, but I'll definitely make sure to also include this when the video is uploaded on YouTube, so that
Okay.
anybody else, they want to see it, they be able to see it and be able to be like, and make their
Hmm.
thoughts out from there. But just give me a moment. Alrighty, let's go. On the only group of women that I have seen in my whole life. I have to say that my whole life I've lived in, I have only seen Black American women. There's only some
not all, say they don't need a man. And a lot of sisters now are realizing how detrimental that has been. Let's view it. Shout out to the Daily Wrap Up crew that left this comment saying that Black women are the only ethnic group of women on this earth who brag about how much they don't need a man. And the sad thing is that is so very true. I can remember being young and like just hearing women speak in passing, like when I'm out with my family, or I specifically remember like being out with my granny some places and hearing women like speak to me, telling me that don't depend on no man for nothing, and make sure you independent, go to school, find you a good career, this that, and the third. I cannot recall hearing any woman, any elder Black woman telling me to focus on finding a husband and how to be a good woman to a man. I never heard it. Let's stop right there.
And then we're gonna stop right there too, because I got some stuff I want to share with that. So that that she's speaking nothing but the truth. Because I know for me growing up, those that I was growing up around, it was a mixture of all of us. We were like a co-ed crew, and we used to go pack bags at Western Beef, to make some money and stuff. And we would wash cars, we would mow lawns, we would do all of that. And it was never like I don't recall hearing too much, don't depend on a man. I just basically just witnessed the women around me, and they was basically holding down, their house or whatever. They was out there working. And another funny thing is, everybody else wanted me to go to college but me, because I remember my brother saying he wanted me to go to college. I remember my mom having a conversation with like my godmother and somebody else in there. Like I wasn't there talking about, oh, I want Jovani to go to college, but like Jovani doesn't want to go to college. Jovani's not that type of learner that, I'm going to be looking, I'll research stuff that interests me, but don't tell me what to freaking study. So, that's me. Whatever I'm interested in, I will study, but I'm not going no place where they're telling me I have to study a specific subject matter and stuff, in order to do all of that. But I do recall this time from when I was like about 16. This is probably the first time I like heard this. I have a cousin that was living in Florida, but then she came and stayed with us. At the time, it was, me, my sister, my mom, her in the house at the same time. So for whatever reason, my sister was putting up wallpaper and I was helping her or whatever. I never looked at that as like a male or female thing to do. It's just like, hey, if you put it up straight and make sure them bubbles are not in there, I mean, how hard is that? But on the flip side, I'm not going to be out there front line talking about I want to go out here and build the Verrazano Bridge. Fuck that shit. I'm not doing that. I'm not freaking going to be out there trying to build no skyscrapers and stuff. Although I did want to do construction when I was like in my early 20s.
I
And
remember you talking about that.
right. So I only wanted to be a flag girl because I heard when they was, flag girls were still making like 15 bands a week, 1,500 a week and stuff. So I was like, I'll do that, but I'm not doing all that other stuff. But like, lead this is all that to say is that was the first time I heard another woman say, well, like, wow, yeah, I don't need no man over here. And I just like, I don't remember us like saying anything after that. We just like kind of like looked at her and then like just went, just letting that resonate with us to try to, just what does that mean? You don't need to be. I'm like,
Wait.
nothing. This is
Was she from the
wallpaper.
South? Was she from the
Yes.
South? Okay.
Oh yeah, but the Southern Belle, uncle was, pastor, but he, very old, from back
Okay.
in the day, so. But
You know what?
yeah.
I'm completely opposite experience.
Yeah.
Uh, I I felt like I was sheltered when I went to college. My dad picked my courses. He was like, you're gonna you're gonna speak Spanish because Spanish people speak Spanish now. This French stuff is not working. I was like, but Daddy, I got straight A's all 4 years of high school. Going to Spanish is gonna be hard. You know, he didn't care. He didn't want me speaking French because the French occupied Nigeria for a while, so he had some kind of disdain for them. And yeah, he picked my courses. He didn't pick the college I went to, but yeah, he picked my courses for me, and I just remember it's like, damn, that's not what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So
At
completely
least,
different
yeah,
experience. You know, God rest his soul. 10 years
absolutely.
passed. His
Yes.
birthday just passed this Thursday, so
Rest
I
in
just want to
power,
get over him.
Mr. Benson.
Yes.
So, yeah, so yeah. And then I know with my father, I don't like, and another thing she mentioned in there, right? She don't
Hmm.
recall any old women saying, "Oh, get married" and stuff. And I was like, you know what? She absolutely right.
Hmm.
Because they used to, older women, like, the conversations I used to hear, they used to talk very interesting about men or just situations, or just be out there like. They were
Hmm.
very free women that I was around and stuff. So
Complete opposite.
complete opposite, yeah.
All the
So
women in my whole household, outside my household, grandma, all quiet people, didn't say shit. I had one cousin Blanche, who was very outspoken, and she would, say some really derogatory things about black women in America. But she was American herself, but not necessarily American, just not Nigerian. And but yeah, it wasn't. That was the only time I heard like a woman speak loudly or say something
like, can you give me an
crazy. It
example of
was
what
from
you would say?
she used to say that black women need to get back to wearing girdles, and
Ah, I remember you saying that.
and she would look out her window. I'd sit there with her and her brownstone in Brooklyn, and she would talk about the people outside and call them porch monkeys. So, you know,
Oh shit.
and I'd sit there. I'm like,
Wow.
cousin Blanche. She would just say the craziest stuff, but she would give me like the coolest old school clothes because she had stuff, and she would make me uh you know food from scratch, so she was just old school. I don't know if that's how people talk during that time period,
Yeah,
1930s and shit, but she'd say some
yeah,
really crazy things, and I'm just
yeah.
like,
They used to
damn.
say porch monkey around that time.
Oh, that
Dang,
shit
I'll be
that
on your
shot that
flat.
shocked the shit out of me. I hope not either.
Oh, shit.
That shit was crazy. I to this day
I
I
mean, I
think
don't
back
wear
on the
girdle.
things
I
that
wear
came out of him.
faja. I do wear faja,
Fajas.
so I guess that's like a girdle.
Yeah, it's a girdle.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
do wear
You know
that.
you.
Oh, I did make some pancakes from scratch today. It's just something about pancakes from scratch. They just hit differently than, just like, oh, I want some pancakes. Nah, you gotta hit them from scratch. They just really hit different. So I feel her in that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure.
yeah, I definitely feel her on that. I definitely feel her on, well, not the monkey part. I'm not feeling
Hmm.
that. I will wear faja, whatever.
I
But
I wear the
she's
occasional waist trainer every once in a while, but
but she was really tripping. Just you can't say that, oh, these women need to be put in a box. You gotta let women
hmm
decide that and
hmm
everything.
yeah.
Um, so it wasn't just society telling us that. It's, the women we were growing up with, the men we were
hmm
growing up with too. Because then here is another video that I have where the father was teaching his little girl how to change the oil and everything like that, and she looked about
She may be
16-ish,
16. Yeah, 16-year-old.
16, 17.
Hmm.
So I'm just gonna play a little bit of that, and then we'll go get back into our subject matter. I had never changed a car's oil before, and I'm getting a Tesla soon, so I wanted to try it out when we still have the chance. So first you gotta get the old oil out of there, if you can get the freaking bolt off, which I couldn't.
And before you guys yell at me for not using the right tool, I did switch tools, and it was still impossible. So my papa stepped in to help. That bad boy was tight. He's not lying. That bad boy was indeed tight as fuck. And then it was finger loose though, so I put my pan underneath, and oh my god, I flinched like a little baby. My papa came to the rescue again with paper towels, and then I had to remove the actual oil filter. And that was a little bit easier, but same situation. I was still a little crybaby when it came out. And then I put the new oil filter on there, climbed out from under the car like a wannabe model, and then I put some new good oil in there. Yeah, I checked my stick thing. It was all good. My papa had a celebratory cigarette break before we disposed of the bad oil properly. Look at how dark it is. But yay, I'd never change.
So, these things are typically, for a man to do, or at least that's what, we've been taught for society. But here's a man teaching his daughter how to change oil. And I was looking at it, I was like, dang, that looks so easy to do. I might start changing my own oil.
Yeah, I'm paying too
But
much money to change. I'm bringing it to
yeah, because
Honda to get my oil changed and paint an arm and a leg.
I know, because I think, for the last time I got an oil change, um, I did it for the every 3,000 miles, and it was like 50 something dollars. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, all I got to do is just buy the oil filter and then do what she did and then pour the oil in there and drain the other oil. Yeah, I was like, that looks a little bit too easy. I just got to get those ramps. But what does that what does that say about the thinking of a father that will teach his daughter to do something that typically men are supposed to do? What does that say that he has faith in a society of men that is her age and up, or the current men, that's around?
I don't know. I think from my father's point of view, he just didn't want other men doing the things that he would do for me. So if he taught me how to do it, then I'm not referring to a man to do those things. If that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely makes sense, because it doesn't seem like, by that, like, at least this father doesn't have much faith, to me, in the men. He sees
Mm-hmm.
how a lot of males I'm just gonna say males in society, because you got the males and then you got the men. So
Mm-hmm. And
um
that's how my husband talks about the younger men in this society. He talks about them like, they're boys, the way he
aw.
talks. And I'm just like, they don't see that themselves that way. They consider themselves men. And he was like, when I was their age, I thought I was a man too. And then he said, but I had to go through things. I had to have kids. I had to change my priorities. And,
Mm.
he feels that made him a man. And he says, I don't see a lot of men changing, you know, compromising and changing their priorities. Everything has to be their way or no way. He was like he's surprised about the amount of divorce that is happening. You know,
Rise.
you know, yeah, because during his time, people stayed married,
Yeah, because it's like
and
70% of divorces, they say, it comes because the woman is unhappy.
yeah.
So,
So, but
but
he just sees a
comment from
difference.
the D Lone Wolf. Let's see.
Hey, hey.
What's going on, ladies? Is it possible it's also a father's way of spending quality time with his daughter?
I like that. He said it was the Lone Wolf said that's also a way that a father can spend time with his daughter, by teaching her these things.
I
Which
think
that's
that's
dope. That's dope.
it
I can
is
see that.
it is a way to spend times with his daughter. It's just that it for a daughter that spent a lot of time with her dad, I've become not easy to. I honestly, my personality, I would need a actual man to tolerate the expectations that I have of them, which they would say, "Oh, it's not marriage material." Mind you, I'm married, but the point is, everything you know that makes a strong woman is a dad. And if a person has a problem with strong women, then blame their dad.
Mm.
I guess.
Yeah, because they kind
I,
of
I,
like made, they
I,
kind of groomed us for what society is now.
yeah,
So,
like everything that I do, the way I talk, my demeanor is from my father. I try to lighten up, but I feel like I'm like the female version of him. So, and I feel like, because of my experience with my father, I've turned into somebody that is not easy to sway because of that. And then people would say, "Oh, well, that you're very aggressive and stuff like that." Whatever
no.
complaint they had about women because of the aggression, I feel I got it from my dad because my mother is complete opposite of that. And I don't know if she had the same time she had with her dad, but my time with my dad, everything he taught me was what he knew um, about life. So,
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing.
anyways, but
Not,
yeah.
that's a very wealthy, experience there because not a lot of
Mhm.
women get to experience that. There's a
Mhm.
lot of women that, of course, girls that will grow up without their father, for whatever reason. And
Mhm.
that's beautiful. I know
Yeah.
for me, now, though my father may not have grown up, I may have not grown up in the house with my father, but he
Mhm.
definitely was there. I definitely, seen how he operated and everything.
Mhm.
I know one time, like I think we was in Coney Island or something, or going to Coney Island. He was getting a parking space, and somebody kind of stole the space. And my father, he got out and was like, "Hey, I was about to get that space," but the person moved or whatever. So, that was a good thing. That could have been a terrible situation, especially in this day and age. So, you know,
Mhm.
but
I
he
have
came
too many
from,
stories. Too many
but.
stories of my father acting out, and I'm surprised he still lived. I'm glad
I
that
mean, but
cancer is the one that took him out because any other way, we grew up in Park Hill and
oh
on
yeah.
Staten Island, so shit. I mean, he tested everybody there.
But no, but I think in this day and age, people are just more weird now. Because I know, even though this is kind of off subject, but chick met a guy on a dating app and he killed her. Like
Oh.
this is just the word. This is the world we live in now. Or just if you're telling, like, what was I looking at? I was looking at how these young boys in elementary school was talking to the teacher and stuff, talking to the
Mhm.
teacher crazy. Like, just ask the teacher, just asked him, "Hey, come up and do this math problem." He was like, "F you, da 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 da," and I'm not doing shit. Just basically cursing him out like crazy. And I just was like, wow, this is the
Mhm.
world that we live in now. I'm just glad that just not in certain situations because
Yeah.
people lose it over here. People be taking out guns.
These days, yeah. These days, don't
People be
bring
hitting
a
you with a
knife to a
car.
gunfight. Gunfight.
Yeah, people
Mhm.
be taking road rage to a whole nother level. I seen like plenty of videos in New York where a one car was hitting another car. I was like, what? Like,
Bumper cars.
if it's intentional, your insurance company has to pay for that, right?
Maybe you don't
Oh
got
man,
insurance. Maybe you
people
don't give a fuck.
crazy.
We
Yeah,
got
yeah.
comment.
Yes.
I hear what you're saying. I think a lot of the discourse that I hear, social media, things of that nature, I think most of these red pill niggas are complaining about women and their masculinity, quote unquote, and oftentimes they're referring to them who grew up without their father. So do you still think you blame the dad? Like, I'm a man that grew up with my pops, and I kind of feel how you feel, where I feel like a lot of my strength and who I am, how I do things, my demeanor, all that stuff, like, comes from my dad because he set an example for me. But I also think, so based on my experience, that men kind of set the tone in that regard. So I teach my little brother who's married with children, and it's a little different for him because I'm the oldest of five. So he didn't really set the tone because with him and his girl, they grew up together, and at the same time, he never was the oldest. He never had to sit on the level of responsibility that I had.
Yeah, the lone wolf definitely brought up a good point where a lot of people on social media talk about women are masculine and stuff, are too masculine. Um, here's what I'll say on that. Like, I know that I have a tendency to be on the rough side, but you couldn't tell that by my appearance and stuff. Or maybe you can, I don't know. But we grew up in New York. So that's a whole nother like
Yeah,
that's a whole
there's
nother
a whole
ball
nother
game.
reasoning behind it. Yeah.
You can't, like, they talk about women being masculine. Like, no, you can't talk, like, some women are masculine or have masculine traits for a reason.
And some women New
Imagine,
Yorkers.
I'll just bring up an experience. There was times when I used to be walking from a friend house and I'll see three guys standing together, and they would, like, if I cross the street, one of them will always have to say something like, "Why you cross the street for?" Huh? Like, you know how uncomfortable that is to be. And I think at that time I was like 12 years old, ish, or 13. You know how uncomfortable that is to be walking down the street. It's just you, and then it's, mind you, it's still broad daylight, but still they just sitting there, they just standing outside, and then just because you decided to cross the street and you didn't want to walk through them, they're gonna call you all these names and stuff. So that stuff like that kind of toughens you up, and that's
Mm-hmm.
probably not the first. That's definitely not the first incident, and definitely won't be the last incident. But New York, that's how you gotta be.
Yep.
You gotta be able to watch out for stuff. You gotta recognize. There used to be times when people used to hang out not too far from the school that while we was playing outside, and that's why they
Mm-hmm.
had to have these laws now talk about if you a pedophile and you can't be like, so we had to look out for all of that stuff.
I'm sure everybody's
We was
gone through
masculine.
similar things.
I have masculine traits by design. Even though I have softened up a bit because I'm not living in New York no more. But even though I do miss it at times. But yeah. But we do have a comment. Let's go and check it out.
I'm from Yonkers, New York myself, and I'm living out here in Georgia. I know what you're talking about. I actually kind of missed that shit a little bit. So I know you ain't got to explain it to me, sweetie. I got you. I copy.
Okay.
Yes, I'm glad he understands. So that's definitely some stuff that we went through, and of course, yeah,
I'm
you
glad
know,
I don't have to be so aggressive. I moved to Long
yeah, me
Island.
too. I,
You know.
for me now, that's definitely for me. Like, I just be like, whatever. I'm walking away. I don't feel the need to keep it real. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really don't. You got
Yeah.
you
No.
got to touch me in order for me to keep it real. But if
Mm-hmm.
somebody just saying something, or if somebody like decides they want to go around me and crossing the double sided lines because they feel I'm going too slow when I'm going the speed limit and I'm not trying to get no ticket. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get mad about that stuff, or if somebody look at me a certain way, just walk
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be confrontational. Um, but I do think that a lot of women that do hold that stigma, but like, oh, I don't need a man, and they like so like passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a lot of them kind of do push men away with that, because I don't. Do you ever recall me saying that? I don't ever recall saying that. I'll
No,
never.
but I remember there was a time when I might have concluded that from my experience with someone I dealt with in the past, and luckily I met
Uh-huh,
my husband like literally right after to set that kind of thinking straight, because
uh-huh.
I was just like, I mean, everything was like a fight to get him to do things for our daughter. And I was just like, yeah, like maybe it's just not meant to be. Maybe I'm just going to do this alone. So, it was a conclusion, and it was something that I wasn't used to because, I grew up, with a two-family household, and my parents grew up with a two-family household. So, it's like I was like breaking the tradition of the two-family household thing. So I was just like, I
Yeah,
was trying to hold on to something that clearly that person didn't want to be a part of. And I had to accept maybe I don't need it. But, like I said, I met my husband, and, the whole concept changed, because
that's
it's
beautiful.
not like I needed him. It's just that when we came together, it was like it was meant to be. It just was meant to be. It was something I couldn't change whether I needed it or not. It was what it was. So, and I think maybe that's all that's needed, is to just find that person, and then it's not like I don't need, it was just like a meant to be kind of thing. Because I don't think anybody needs anybody. I think we can
Right.
all handle life alone. We know we're born alone, we die alone. But
Right.
the need is not, it's not a need. It's like it's like a gift or something like that. It's something that just happens, and you just have to wait for it. That's
Yeah.
maybe the way it should be, or be
And
looked at.
it's funny that when you mentioned that, he didn't really want to be a part of it, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
people, it's just beyond me why people think that are shocked at the result of like pregnancy when you're like intimate with somebody. That doesn't like, it's just weird to me, but hey, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mind you, he got like 5 kids of his own now, including my daughter. So he has a total of
Yeah.
5 kids, and his life is bombarded by all the kids that he has, all with the same woman. So he found somebody. Hopefully, they're happy, and that's a whole different subject. But the point is that it just wasn't with me.
Yeah.
And I think, instead of people taking it to that level of saying, "Oh, I'm going to X out all men because of this one experience," I think they need to accept that maybe you just wasn't the one, and
Yeah.
not look at it as, "Oh, I don't need a man because men do this," when they only experience the negativity from one person, and they really need to give somebody a chance. I honestly didn't want to give my husband a chance. I gave him hard ass time. And he tells me, he reminds me all the time about it. He's like, "You remember when? You remember this? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Yes, I remember. You didn't even like my voice." But, which I didn't. But,
Well,
my point is that, you got to give people a chance, and you can't just X everybody out. Because, I mean, it's impossible to do that anyways. Because you're going to experience somebody and you're going to like them, whether they had a body count, or they have kids, or she got stretch marks, or you know what I mean, like, or he drives a used car and he don't pay insurance on it, and probably saving up a bundle, and you don't know. The point is, you don't know how you're going to feel about somebody until you give them a chance.
well,
And
yeah.
people use these excuses to get out of things, to protect themselves or their ego.
Yeah, their ego is a mother. But
Yes.
that's good that, you didn't let your heart harden, That's a whole
I'm
nother
not.
slew of health benefits when people let their hearts harden. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we'll definitely probably get into that on a show one day, talking about,
Yeah.
a lot of women, they're not paying attention to their heart space. That's why they're having all these types of health problems, not to mention how heart disease has like skyrocketed amongst women.
Yeah,
And I
got
think a
women in a
lot of it,
chokehold.
right, and I think a lot of it is that whole mantra, I don't need a man. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, let's go ahead and grab this comment here.
You know, I've dated
Noosh.
some women from New York, and they had like little masculine vibes. They was cool, but I'm really attracted to femininity. I just like feminine women. I just like the smell good, the nails, the lipstick, gloss, just like that. And I had like, I used to turn like a lot of the girls from New York to my place sister because they be so just, they be really just too real. Like one of my place sisters be like, "Yo, I gotta pee." And I'm like, "All right, but let me run you around the corner." "No, I'm going around the building and pee." And they just pee outside, and I just be like, "Oh my goodness, you ain't got no handy wipes or something to wipe your hands." "Yo, son, let's just go. We good, we good." So you know what I'm saying? That just be like they just like they look good, but it's just like a lot of times it just be like they kind of push the, I guess, the needle when it comes to like certain things.
Yes, that's how it be from the concrete jungle sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a special person right there. I think people like washing their hands, but yeah, I can't even describe where I think she's from. I think it starts
Or
with
the
a B,
Bronx. The
ends with an
Bronx.
X.
I was getting Bronx vibes from that. I was getting Bronx
I
vibes.
look,
So,
yeah.
well, he said, he likes. Noosh mentioned that. he likes the femininity, to smell good, all that. But like, yeah, a lot of
Mm.
chicks from New York was wearing that Victoria's Secret Bath and Body Works, so any of them, smelling good and stuff. So getting their nails
Yeah.
done just a little on the rough side, got the nails,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, she'll punch you in the face too if need be, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Slap a car and
Not that
say,
we
"I'm
condone
walking
that.
here."
Exactly, exactly. So man, um, so back to just then there's a lot of women. I think that when they end up having more kids, luckily I know myself. I'm glad. Hey, look, just one baby. I'm one baby daddy and done. I'm not doing no more baby daddies. But then you're dealing with women who got multiple baby daddies, but they're
I got
still,
two.
yeah. No, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not. See, you have one baby daddy and a husband, so you can't really call them. You got two baby daddies.
I got two baby daddies. I had two by
Okay.
one man.
Okay. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I qualify.
All right, so then you got the other side of the realm where women say, "Hey, I don't need a man because I got the government."
Government.
Yeah, because
What that mean?
no, because there's a point where you would get where you would have more kids, and they'll keep giving you food stamps, they'll give you added benefits, but then after a while they had to stop that because we saw that two women were
Okay.
taking advantage of that and kept having kids and everything. Like, oh, keep having kids, get a nice bit of food stamps and all that, get Section
Wow.
8, all that. So you know, there's a lot of women that are kind of taught by aunties, like, hey, go ahead and, get your benefits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came to a point where, like, oh, let them go to school so they can keep their benefits and stuff. So it always, yeah, this way how society's built up now, it's kind of like just disheartening how they had that set up, to kind of have the women that'll go get education to say, oh, I don't need a man. They'll get a six-figure career and all that stuff. But even still, there's still a lot of women, of course, struggling because they still, hey, they got the debt. They got to pay off. So they're not
Mm-hmm.
really winning by having, a degree, because you got to pay that degree debt off. Or you don't get
Mm-hmm.
that degree until your debt is paid off, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
No, you get the degree, and maybe in
You
certain
still get the
countries, I
degree?
know in Nigeria you don't get that degree. That if that school don't get their money, you don't get your diploma. But in America, you can
Mm-hmm.
get your diploma because they want you to work off. They want you to work off that money or attempt to, because they know you can't. Because that's the name of the game, to act like you're winning, but you're not. But yeah, that's the way. That's the when you can get your degree, get the job, the entry level job with the degree, and start paying off your debt
Mm.
if you
If
intend
you get
to.
the- if you work in your field,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because we all know there's a lot of people that are not working in their field, and just the way how they've been going with this whole AI thing, trying to get, oh, we'll get robots and stuff to take care of this, or we'll have a computer program to take care of this, kind of Xing out people that have got degrees in those fields and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know
Yeah,
recently in the tech field, they just laid off a bunch of people in the tech field.
yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Facebook laid off people.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Microsoft, couple of places have laid off about 12,000 people. 12,000, 1,200. Either way, they laid off people, and I'm sure those people still have not finished paying off their student debt. It's whack.
What's sad? I think there's just some things that you just don't need a degree for. They just totally took away that whole apprenticeship that used to be back in the days, like way back in the days, where you be an
Mm-hmm.
apprentice to someone, you learn a skill, and then you go do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like they made everything, not everything, but a good bit of things where you have to go get a degree for, and you really don't. You just need an apprentice, and that's it. Be an
Or
apprenticeship,
certification.
and that's it. A certification, apprenticeship, and that's it. But you shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
to be going all them years in school just so you're dealing with a situation now where a bunch of tech jobs were laid off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Then
I
you'd
mean, I
be
know that in the the story that you have attached, the guy about the situation, he goes
Right.
into how is, handling things on your own benefiting you. But I think it depends on the person. I know that they say the statistics are high in reference to black women specifically and their student loan debt, and what's the point when, to say you don't need a man when you're driving yourself into debt, not needing a man. But I think both parties are going into debt for that very reason, not because they don't need a man, but because they're trying to better themselves in this world. So I can't really, I mean, besides him using statistics and stuff like that, it's just like not everybody's on that same page where they can't pay off their debt.
Yeah,
That
a
makes
lot of
sense what I'm
people.
saying?
Well, yeah, because a lot of people will prioritize comfort over
Mm-hmm.
like taking care of debt. People get credit cards and max out their credit cards and stuff just to go shopping and go out to eat and stuff. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess it depends on the woman
it's a
that they're talking about, right?
yeah, definitely depends on the woman you talk about because
Mm-hmm.
there's people out there who like having a car note. Like me, no, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like having a car note. you know.
I don't either, but I do.
Yeah. Yeah, but at
Yeah.
least, upside is, you're able to take care of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I don't know. This to not need a man or to need a man, I think it all depends on the
It
person.
all depends. And we
Yeah.
never want to, for me, I don't ever want to like just need anybody,
I
because
think it's
people
kind
are
of rude.
seasonal. People are
I think
seasonal,
it's
you know.
yeah.
They can be seasonal or, we need air, that's for sure.
I'm just
Um,
like, is that all you're for? To a man is for is to get me out of student loan debt or prevent me from even having one by being my husband? Like, is that all they're there for? Is that the
I,
argument?
I think
Is
people
that
would. I think, well, yeah, because then they'll say, oh, men, that's their goal to, or that's what they're here for, to provide and everything. But I think that's kind of selfish too, to put all that on them.
on them?
'Cause
Exactly.
think about all the, because then they'll be like, oh, if we're sad, people don't think about us. But, there's a lot of men out there who will prioritize and focus on work and stuff, and they won't even pay attention to their health. There's a lot of men that should get their prostates checked but don't get those yearly exams that they should get but they don't. So
Mm-hmm.
got to make sure. I guess
Yeah.
that's where the woman comes in, where it's like, babe, you need to go to the doctor and stuff. We work with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, it
very
should be a
common.
happy balance.
Yes, absolutely.
There's also consumer debt to take into account. Women
Yep.
have more consumer debt than men, and also you talking about like trade schools and apprenticeships and vocational schools. That kind of, in a sense, when we think about it, like the argument is usually like women are going to college and we're doing so much better than men, yada yada yada. Because vocational schools and trade schools kind of benefited boys more. Boys kind of learn better by doing things, having projects, not necessarily sitting down in a class and just listening and regurgitating stuff. So it's a bit of a disadvantage for boys. But I guess we can get to that further down in the conversation.
Got one more.
Yeah. I wish I went to a trade school.
And I think the tech layoffs had less to do with AI and more to do with crypto crashing, the recession we in. It's
And
just a payroll
economy.
thing because AI doesn't, it's not really taking over those jobs. They're just squeezing the juice out of people they have left. Because like the
Mm-hmm.
tech boom, they had money to burn. They was printing money. Tech companies are evaluated, I think, at 30 times like their net or their
Mm-hmm.
gross, something like that.
And
Whereas
that
other
big.
companies are usually evaluated like maybe 5 times. Like a media company, like a
Mm-hmm.
newspaper, would only be evaluated 5 times their gross. So it's just little things like that. That's why Netflix, quote unquote, was worth so much, or Apple, because as a tech company,
Supposedly.
you're evaluated at 30 times your earnings.
Yeah, man.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, that been hearing a lot about that crypto crashing and everything like lately. So and yeah, they definitely have been printing more money and don't have anything else to back it up with. Just printing up money.
Nope.
So, yeah, I definitely, definitely agree with that, the men, that is more beneficial for men to be in trade schools and everything. I know that they cut out a lot of that, because I remember a time, or at least I used to watch old TV shows where in high school you could learn how to fix a car and stuff. And I don't think they do too much of that anymore.
No, I don't know anything about
Mm.
that.
No,
Like I
I used
said,
to see
I wish that was
there's some schools like that.
option
There
for
was
me.
schools like that in New York because I know
Hmm.
aviation. That was all about, of course, planes and everything. I never, of course, went there, but I know they had that school. They had vocational schools there where women could learn how to, do hair and all that, and whatever other programs they had. Um,
Hmm.
I wonder if those schools still around. I don't know, but yeah, they used to have that back then. But different times we live in now. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah. But I think a lot of this stuff, not needing a man and stuff like that, is by design. It was, you know, it was put into the system for for this disconnect between the female and the male.
They got a serious
To
disconnect because then
yeah,
that's where all the freaking oh, here's another caveat to that. They'd be like, oh, I don't need a man, and boom, here comes the sex toys for women, right?
yeah. It just opened up a whole different industry.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
like in reference to debt, now is women's debt.
Hmm.
So now you got women owing money, you got women spending money. It's just, it opened up doors to for these corporations and everything to make money. So
To
I
take
I think a
advantage.
lot of it was written to take advantage of the independence of women, you know. And we women have fallen prey to that. And now we have to dig ourselves out of it and find a way to reconnect with our male counterparts.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, that definitely was a goal for them, for us to have like these gender wars and everything.
Mm-hmm.
For us to be going back and forth, like, oh, well, you should be this way. Well, you need to be this way. When all these people, when this government's out here working on a master plan that's what that whole art of war is, that divide and conquer.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got to, make sure that we look out for that, so we
Mm-hmm.
don't ever feel like we don't need each other. We definitely need each other. But what do we need each other for? We need each other to keep on coexisting, but we can't say that, oh, I don't need a man to pay my bill. Like, yeah, true. Like, I mean, I hold down my bills, my living situation, whatever, by myself. That, I don't brag about it. That, I feel like that's just an essential thing you should have. I know
Mm-hmm.
I don't like living with people. I don't like doing roommate situations.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And to be honest, I mean, in my situation, I don't need my husband to pay my bills, but we do pay bills together.
right, and that's
Um,
dope.
and that's that's the thing, the big things, the mortgage. We put our monies together to pay these things that are important and put more money in our pockets. That's what we put our we do. So no, I don't think women need men for that specifically, but to create the to build wealth, or and to create a home,
Oh yeah.
the comfort of home where both of us are coexisting and we have our own spaces, where I'm in the basement and I'm doing this talk with you on a podcast, and my husband's in the bedroom, the kids are in their play area, my son is in his bed. Everybody's in their own space. We're creating an environment where we're all happy, you know. So, and I know that it can be done both parties can do it on their own with their own kids, but to have it together, it's special.
It
And
definitely helps. It definitely
yeah,
helps.
yeah,
I seen a funny meme the other day. It was saying that, man, these rent prices ain't meant for single people.
no,
So,
I've seen it. I'm like, I even married people for them
yeah,
too.
even
So
in,
I'm like
yeah.
paying $4,000 a month on something that's not going to
Oh,
be
that's
yours ever.
crazy.
Oh,
Now,
I'm
come
thinking in the
on.
context of New York. I'm sure it's a little maybe cheaper somewhere else, but it's a lot of
It's
money.
still insane. Like
Even
they still
yeah,
wanting like 1,200 for like a one bedroom and stuff. So it just depending on
I
where
say
you
a
at. So
studio.
studio. Georgia, their prices are getting like New York too, or how New York used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So and even Florida too. I was checking out some places in Florida. They was bugging on they rent. I was like, this is renting, like,
Mm-hmm.
like good grief, like it's just one person, but then it's like nah, or like two bedroom with like 1,700, but like good grief.
But with those interest rates going up, it's not, for a house, you're going to be paying a lot more than normal for a whole house. So imagine how it's going to be for an apartment, you know.
Yeah, that is true. Let's go ahead and
So,
grab this comment here.
Since we have a married woman here on the panel, I want to pose like this question on the start. It's kind of interesting that on the one hand, I don't know if I agree, disagree as far as like it being by design to have us divided, because marriage in America at least is incentivized. Like you say, building wealth, and that's
mm-mm.
how a lot of the white families and the wealth gap is so large. You know what I'm saying? We talking about the GI bills and things of that nature. I'm talking about like average blue collar, you know what I'm saying, middle class Americans, white Americans. That's how they're able to build a certain level of wealth. So here in America, now that we have access to the, you know what I'm saying, obviously it's discrimination and shit like that, but that withstanding, we're incentivized to marry. So kind of which one is it?
Honestly,
I
I have
think
not
more.
experienced an incentive.
I
The
can't
the only
speak on
incentive
marriage
I
because I'm not
the only
married.
incentive I've gotten is from my relationship with my husband. But financially, I haven't experienced an incentive. I feel like I got more back in taxes when I was single. I feel like my husband brought it up because when we did taxes together, he was like, "This is all I'm getting." I'm like, "Yeah." He was like, "But we're married." I was like, "I guess it don't mean shit to these people." I haven't experienced an incentive.
Well,
The
I'll
only
say
incentive
this.
is that our money is put together and it's more money. That's about it.
I'll say this as far as the incentivized benefits. So when I had got a car or whatever, at the time my son's father was gonna be driving it too, which,
Mm-hmm.
but he was on the insurance, but they was like, oh, if y'all get married, you get another discount. And I think the discount was only like 10, no more than 20%. So it was like, that's no incentive to get married to have lower, like, you know, lower
If
car
I don't know if
insurance.
that's the incentive. I haven't experienced an incentive.
No, that's what the guy told me, the one that was doing the insurance, selling it and stuff.
Mm,
So he was
okay.
like, if y'all get married, I'm like, huh? This is a guy saying it, a man saying it. Like, if anything, you shouldn't, a
Let's
guy shouldn't
elope
be
so we can get 10% off
like, nah, I'm good.
insurance.
That's not enough. Not for, mm-mm.
Yeah. So I I don't know about the incentive. The lonely wolf, lone wolf. I don't know about that. I haven't experienced an incentive. It's
Probably
been an
for,
uphill. Yeah.
I don't
What
know.
were
Well,
we gonna say?
no, many will argue that, it's probably an incentive for the woman, but not necessarily the man. Many will argue
Oh,
that too.
oh, okay. Yeah.
I think probably probably need to limit certain subjects from listen to certain social media people, because then they just get like too passionate and they turn into like Kevin, the new Kevin
No,
Samuels and stuff.
I'll look up the I'll find out about that. I Me and my husband we heard about these incentives and we were like that's it. Then it's not really something worth looking forward to. Like like even the child credit tax and stuff like that wasn't much of an incentive. Being married, it didn't really change
Yeah,
much.
because
I'm gonna
didn't
tell you. I'm gonna just tell you, it doesn't change much. It doesn't change much at all. No,
yeah, because especially if people
it's
like,
going
oh, can I
on.
borrow your kids to claim them on my taxes? People like
Yeah,
that.
15 years married. I have not experienced an incentive out of it, besides the marriage and the people I'm with. But I'm talking about like financially, money wise. benefits coming in. No incentive.
Well,
Anyway,
so then you're married for the right reasons, because then other people will be
yeah,
like, oh, like, oh, we need a newer car, like, oh, we need a bigger house. No, we don't need all of
yeah.
that.
My husband, he worked for the county, Nassau County, and he's at a certain tier where he doesn't pay into insurance. I say that's
Awesome.
an incentive because all I pay is copay. We never pay, it doesn't come out of our his check or anything like that. So everything is banked. But that'd be the only incentive I got. But if I was, regardless of being married, if you, let's say you don't have the years under your belt, you still wouldn't have that incentive. So it's specific to him and how long he's been with the county that he got that incentive.
Hmm.
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it definitely
if he
takes
was
years for
younger,
that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know about that. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna get off of incentives now
Yeah.
because
Oh,
that's
wow.
not what we're in it for. We're in it for the love, not the
Yes.
incentives.
Well, look at that. We are at 9:01 already. Wow, this hour went by quick, but we definitely got some, definitely great conversation going, whether
Mm-hmm.
I wish more women would have chimed in, but it's okay.
It's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
okay.
It is okay. But anyway, so everyone, we're definitely here every Sunday at 8 p.m. talking about various subjects on how we can be better as a whole, as a society. We're not just gonna come from one sided. We're kind of talk about all aspects of things from different perspectives. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely stay in touch. But Azima, where can everyone find you if they want to follow and learn more?
You can find me, Azima, at Azima the Only. That's Azima on TikTok and Instagram as Azima the Only. And you can find me on YouTube and Facebook as Ozidi Wellness and Fitness. That's Ozidi, Wellness and Fitness. And where can we find you, Joe?
So yes, you can find me on all platforms: TikTok, IG, Facebook, and YouTube at Camp Jogo Fit. That's that's KAMPJOGOFIT. And it will also help too, God, if y'all could subscribe to our YouTube channel of the Wine Fine podcast as well. That's WINEFINE podcast. Get our subscribers up, and we'll greatly appreciate it.
Yes, we
So,
would.
we are wrapping up now.
And
Uh,
thank you.
thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a great night and have a great week.
Good night, everybody. Thank you all for stopping by. Bye.
Bye bye.